Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. Hold on, this needs to be... So, what are we going to talk about today? Currently, I'm basically just sorting out my Steam library, of course, because Little Gator game has been completed. I need to remove it from my current series tab, and I need to add the next game. Well, for one, I should install it. That's a good point. I'll install that now. And I need to add it to my current series and remove it from the waiting list. How big is this game? I can't see how big it is. 6 gigabytes, okay? But there's your hint, it's 6 gigabytes, the one following Little Gator game. Good evening, everyone. And I'm Fawnhallow. It's 8:38 PM on Sunday, April 27th, 2025. What should we talk about today? Oh, I finally finished a Honkai Star Rail new quest, which has been out for, I think 3 weeks now. I mean, the Honkai Star Rail story quests right now are really long. They're like 8 hours long, which is insanity. But insanity in a good way, because honestly, I am loving it. I love this arc of a story we're on right now. I think the first arc of the story was very sort of like... It was strong, but it wasn't like revolutionary or anything. I don't guess any of them will probably not be very revolutionary, but it was like a very standard, fairly typical. The next one was like, I can't remember. It's been so long now, but I feel like I spoke about it, and I was like, it's got such crazy weird pacing, and I was like, I feel like a lot of it like didn't resonate with me. And the next one was like, it's pretty good. I don't think it like, I think the landing I wish was a little bit better. But I think there was a big chunk of the middle where I was like, yeah, this is really nice. And then this one, I don't know. This one's really good so far. Like, I'm invested in the characters, the story, those revelations which happened in this latest section. And I was like, oh, what? There's one thing, sort of talking about the story in general, that was revealed in this latest story quest, which I'm not annoyed by, that's the wrong way to put it, but there's something, I can't even say why. It's not for any reasons, for a very silly personal reason. I'm trying to think how to phrase it, but essentially, is, how should I say? Oh, download complete for the game. It's not, no, I love the story, but there's a very specific reason that me seeing this exact story plot made me go, oh, damn. I can't believe it's in this story. And it only pertains to me, and I cannot tell you, essentially, why. And it's not for like a super personal reason, it's just mainly because some of my friends watch the series, and it may or may not pertain to something which we are keeping... Oh, I'm just making it so mysterious for no reason. I guess I'll just say it like this. There's some aspects which... were a little bit annoying to see in the story, not because they were bad, but because they were great. And I'm like, damn, this has a lot of parallels to something which is happening in D&D. I won't say what, and I won't tell you how, and I won't tell you which part, and to what degree. No thanks. Which made me go, darn. If I ever discover this part of the story in the D&D campaign, we're going to be like, damn, come on, dear darling, you copied Honkai Star Rail. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I promise you I didn't. This is just like something which probably appears in media quite a bit more often than you like to think. That's basically, I don't know, I was trying to be like all coy about it, but then I realised that the way I described it made it seem like, oh, it was like some really personal thing which upset me about the story. I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. Like, I don't, like, I'd rather not mislead you in that sense. But when the plot point like appeared, I was like, darn. It's the sort of thing where you think of something which obviously you don't think is going to be completely original, but then something very popular or uses that plot point, and you're like, darn, now, you know, everyone's going to think I copied this very popular media property for this plot point, when I didn't. I came up with it in my own head, but now there's no defending it, there's no refuting it. It is what it is. I mean, it's a good plot point, so, and it's also not exactly the same, but there's just like similarities enough. Anyway, it's a fantastic quest. I adored it. I loved it. We played some more Rabbit and Steel last night. We defeated 3-player Scholar's Nest, which is very exciting. had a few attempts at free player Emerald Lakeside. It's quite hard on free player compared to 2-player, I would say. Mainly because 2-player chains are pretty easy to deal with. 3-player chains are a lot harder to deal with because there's a lot more sort of finessing of going around being like, no, wait, we need to go this way, you know, like who's in the middle, who's not in the middle, etc, etc. But positioning just does not give you a lot of space. But we got to the final boss a couple of times. So it's certainly not without, I mean, it never was out of reach. It just, you know, takes some time. Certainly, we're progressing a lot faster than we did with Church Mouse Streets. But again, understanding that the Church Mouse Streets is, a lot of it is a DPS check. Makes a lot more sense. It's probably, I guess it must be one of the worst worlds to start with, because if your DPS checks are high, you'd rather go there in World 2 or World 3, when you have good items, hopefully, to carry yourself forwards. Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today? I don't know. Should we talk about Honkai Star Rail? It's a thing. Like, it's almost like after the Genshin Impact quest, Fontaine, the final part, or the Sumeru, the first part, or the second part of Natlan. I was like, oh, I just want to talk about the quest, but of course it's kind of like spoilers. I guess it has been out for 3 weeks, but it also just makes no sense, I think, to people who, to the majority of people who are watching. But that's okay. I'm kind of progressing with the Wu-Wei quest. It's kind of been on hold for a moment, mainly because it's getting to the end of a patch, and I'm hitting... You get levels very quickly. I'm like already level 20-something in that game. And it basically unlocked a load of events. And I was like, darn, okay, some of these events I'm obviously not even going to try and push. Like, I'm not going to try and push through the entire story quest in like 16 hours to try and get... finish off this event, which finishes in 1 day. I'll just bite the bullet. I'll be like, okay, I'll just not get rewards from this quest. But one of them I could do. It was a combat-based quest, and it's very, very interesting playing this game. Because, I mean, it features very frequently in games like Genshin Impact, where basically you have to do a trial against one of, like, the bosses in the game or something. It's like an action RPG, is how to describe it. And you get given characters. But, of course, in Genshin Impact, my characters are so strong, I just use my own characters. I know them, like, inside... Oh, I shouldn't say inside out, because that makes it sound weird, but I know them back to front. I know exactly what teams synergize together and stuff like that. And I know exactly what they all do, and then I often do it such that but there's often, for new people, trial characters, where they'll be like, okay, here's a character who we know is going to be strong on this fight, we're going to lend it to you as a new player, so you can have a go at trying them out. And obviously, because it's a gacha model, it's like, oh yeah, because we also want you to end up trying to pull for this character and potentially spending money. That part aside, I never really thought about it much in Genshin Impact, because obviously it didn't impact me. I would never use a trial character unless it was literally a character I didn't own. But even then, even all the characters, I know how they play. I know exactly what they do, their kit, their mechanics. I know not exactly how to min-max them, but I know how to end up using them generally. The thing that was very interesting though for Wuthering Waves, or Wu-Wa, is the fact that I don't know how most of the characters play at all. Like, I looked up some, like the main character I'm using at the moment is Danjin. I pulled Verena as well, and I managed to get Shorekeeper, which is fantastic. So my team is literally Danjin and 2 healers, mainly because Danjin is a character, she sacrifices her own health basically to do damage, and I kept trying to do like these longer form bosses, and I kept dying because I didn't have enough healing. So I was like, alright, I've got 2 of the strongest supports in the game, I'll just put them both on the team while I'm still a rookie, and then eventually I'll learn how to play properly, maybe. But yes, it was very interesting because there was like 7 different rounds in this Wuthering Waves event thing, and they had different teams on every single one. So there's probably like 21 characters or so. There might have been some overlaps. I think Verena. Is that name for Verena or Veraz? No, Verena. I don't know the names that well. Verena, yeah. I don't know the names that well, so they sort of like, you have to forgive me for not knowing them. I think Verena appeared twice, but anyway, and it was really, really interesting because I was basically playing the game completely blind. I was like, I'm looking at this character, I have no idea what they do. So I was basically completely guessing what they were trying to do while playing. It was a very fun experience, sort of trying to work out exactly how to play a character as you're playing them. the game mode is quite, the event is quite forgiving, essentially, where it's not difficult to get the max rewards, even if I didn't know what I was doing. And I have a general idea of how to play Wuthering Waves, and I have a general idea of like what to look for in games. And because I mean, I play Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero, and I played action RPGs before. But it's very, very fun trying to sort of figure out exactly what a character did as you were playing them. Some of the characters I kind of figured out. Not exactly how to like min-max them, but like at least I could figure out like the basic idea behind the characters. I'm trying to think of a good example. But the problem is I can't remember most of the characters' names because I haven't met most of them in the story yet. Camellia was one, because I think, I mean, I'm going to say it now, and then maybe I can look back when I'm more into Wuthering Waves, or maybe I'll drop the game, and maybe you're a Wuthering Wave expert. You can be like, oh, this is how wrong you were. Like, Camellia was interesting, because I think I figured out she's a stance-based character, like she can flip between two phases, like red hair phase and white hair phase or something. And then she has this very interesting thing where she uses the grappling hook mechanic, which is normally an exploration mechanic, I thought. And she uses that to battle, where she basically sort of dangles from the ceiling and she spins around and stuff. It was actually very, very fun. I'm not going to lie. I was like, whoa, this character is so cool. So I guess the game's working on me, on selling me on the characters. What else is there? There was Rokia. She was another one I figured out. I think she's a plunge-based character. I can't remember how, but you get stacks and then you do like these 3 massive like plunges with like a hammer. I generally can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's something like that. There's Carlotta, who she like uses her ult and then she can fire it like 3 more times. She has like these, she does like a load of flips and you can like recast her things to be able to cut like double fire guns or something. I don't really know. That was a really fun one, by the way, as well. But then there's characters like Phoebe, where I was like, I think what's going on, like I'm building up stacks somehow, I'm putting down a field, and then it enhances my abilities, but I don't know, like at one point it made one of the abilities blue, and I was like, I don't know how that happened. I'm trying to think. It was really interesting. Shorekeeper I knew how to play, so that was no surprise. There's Georgie, who I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think she's a buffer, but I don't really know how she buffs. I just pressed like skill burst, and then I was like, all right, good enough. There was Yinli as well, who I was also not really sure what I was doing with, except for she fills up her meter somehow, and then she does a charge attack or a heavy attack, and it does damage, but I don't know what her burst does. And I couldn't figure out how her skill worked. Like I'd use it, and then like I think it just gives her enhanced attacks or something, and on a timer. I don't really know. I'm trying to remember the others. Like Changli as well. I'm pretty sure I had no idea what I was doing with her. She built up stacks, but then I couldn't figure out how to use the stacks or something. Or maybe it was like charge attacks, and then I was like, I don't really know. Most of them are some variation of they use your auto attacks or whatever, or some variation to build up stacks, and then you hold your charge attack or you press the skill button, and it unleashes all the charges in some form or another. But it was super, super interesting, because it's a very rare experience, you know, a rare experience where you're in the stage of, you're not completely new to the game, so you're not basically taken in by the spectacle of literally everything that's going on, but you're not good enough at the game to know what's going on entirely. You have I'm like have an awkward transitionary phase where I'm like, I can vaguely understand what's going on, but I can't figure out how to make it work, you know, together. So it's like I can kind of figure out what's going on. Oh yeah, it was like Shangli Yao or something. He like uses his burst, and then he gets stacks, and his skill is really cool sometimes when he gets a stack, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And it's really interesting, like being able to work out, being like, okay, I see when I use my burst, and then like, oh, okay, now my skill is glowing, and I can see that it has a different animation now. That must mean it does more damage, you know, something like that. It was really interesting trying to sort of piece together and trying to work it out while you're not exactly knowing what's going on, or you're not exactly sure, while you're trying to sort of put the pieces together, but you have a vague idea of like the base mechanics, so you're not completely lost. You're not just being like, oh, I'm just mashing buttons, you know. So there's at least something to work off of, but you're also not like good enough to be able to be like, oh yeah, this needs to follow this is probably a good combo. You're just kind of like, right, I just know this needs to go before this at some point. It's a very exciting part, I think, of a game. And it's even better when you are better at a game and you can sort of reflect back on it. Oh, yeah, there's also Cantarella, who I know from the survey she's meant to be like a hybrid character where you can either play as a main DPS or like a sub DPS. I could not figure out what the heck I was doing with her. Like, I have no idea how anything worked. Sometimes, like, I could figure out somehow to do, like, a jellyfish dash, but I was like, I have no idea how the rest of this works. But yeah, it's a very exciting moment in a game where you're not quite sure of exactly what's going on, but you know enough that you have something to work off of. And that makes it an exciting basis. Because I guess it's kind of like experimentation. It's the learning process, but it's not a blind learning process. And within that, there is, like, I don't know. You've not quite burned yourself out of the game out of boredom yet, because you're not like, oh, there's nothing for me to do here. But you're also not at the stage where you're like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. It's like you're starting to get more direction with what you're doing, but not enough to be like, yeah, okay, this is definitive thing to do. Yeah. So I can see my friend typing to me. It's okay, I can respond to him afterwards. Yeah, so what are we going to talk about otherwise? I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of like a but awkward learning phase of a game. I'm trying to think of other games where that sort of happened in. It's hard to remember it in the other games I've played, or like Genshin or Star Rail or whatever. I think it's when, you know, the peak of that is when you start tackling the end game content with some sort of base knowledge, right? With your shoddily put together teams because you have nothing better, as you sort of try and scramble to fit all the puzzle pieces you have together and sort of work out what the best you can do with it. Oh, I just also realised I haven't responded to comments for ages. About 2 weeks? Okay. I guess I will have to respond to that, but I also need to work on thumbnail arts, so perhaps there's no surprise there. Oh yeah, I guess I'll do today's thumbnail art as well. Sort of like a experimental learning. That makes it sound grander than what I was talking about, because I was just talking about Wuthering Waves, essentially, which is rather a niche, I think, focus of what on earth we were talking about, but I mean, it's true. I don't know. I guess there's a nice sort of latent satisfaction within it as well. You know, I got a lot of satisfaction from figuring out that this character is meant to use their sort of like grappling hook to actually be able to do things. I mean, mind you, it's not like a very high bar to work it out in the first place, but it's the sort of thing that when it happened, you're just like, whoa. This is super, super cool. But I'm also sort of reveling in that stage of confusion where I'm just like, how does this character do this weird dash thing? I don't understand why she's floating sometimes, and how anything is meant to work. You know, that therein lies the fun part. And on that note, I think I'll wrap this episode up here. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.